Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort inside you.
Hello, and welcome to Healing Outside the Box. This is our 133rd show.
And my name is Rosemary Lachance, and I'm an energy healer and a spiritual therapist.
And I'm Lisa Burton, and I'm a heart-centered lifestyle coach. And we are the co-hosts of this thought-provoking series and are dedicated to providing you with food for thought information and answers to all modalities of alternative healing, spiritual development, animal welfare, environmental concerns, and so much more in the form of guest speakers who are experts in their fields. If you know of any subjects that you would like us to discuss, or if you know of anyone who you think would make an interesting guest, please let us know. Please also like us on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box, where you can learn about and see pictures from past shows and past guests and ask questions or leave comments. So enjoy the show.
Okay, Lisa. Tonight's show is titled Various Dimensions of Dog Behavior, and our guest is Roman Gottfried, and he's a holistic dog trainer. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome. Well, Roman was on a year or two ago, and he's back with more wonderful things to tell you. Okay, I'm going to read you a little bit about Roman's bio. Roman Gottfried is a holistic dog trainer with over 7 years of experience training large breed dogs. An Australian who lived in Greece, Roman has worked with dogs since childhood, trained to be a dog handler, and had worked with military dogs for the Special Forces. Even with an education in engineering, Roman has pursued his passion and has been doing full-time dog training since 2010. He attended Animal Behavior College. Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. In coming to the U.S., Roman experienced a change in his teaching philosophy. 2 dogs really taught Roman that they are much more than just dogs or pets. They are beings who have come into this life with their own purposes. After this learning experience, Roman now follows holistic dog training practices and systemic behavior modification. His training philosophy centers on one basic premise: every dog can be the perfect companion. Roman trains the owners along with the dogs, which is very needed. Owners learn their role in the relationship and see the dog from 3 distinct perspectives, which he will explain to you. And he applies these principles to all dogs and has great success in working with rescue dogs. He offers both in-home training as well as training with boarding depending on the needs of the dog. Okay, now as we always ask our guests, first question is, what made you get into this line of work with the dogs?
Well, as you mentioned before, this kind of spiritual experience give me kind of opportunity to look deeper into the dog behavior. And as soon as I kind of felt that there is a more behind it than just sit and stay, I really had to follow my path.
You said you had a spiritual experience?
I had a spiritual experience on that.
What was that?
Well, it's kind of a sensation of getting kind of in communication with the dog.
Uh-huh.
And at the beginning I was thinking kind of is my idea, but there is a communication part here where dogs help us getting better people.
Okay.
So the main idea was trying to dominate me. It's not the way to work with me. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he showed me that getting friends first would be a good approach, and then building up trust, and then from there getting respect, understand their laws, and then apply them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a feedback. You get the feedback that you're doing on the right path, and then it's easier to work with them.
Okay. What is a holistic evaluation of a dog?
Well, considering that's not just a dog with 4 feet and a tail, and it's an individual animal that has his experience, has his DNA experience, but he has also his personal experience, and then is a breed. So according to the breed and the DNA experience, I guess we have a breed, a temperament, experience, we have social skills, we have communication skills, we have emotional intelligence, we have motoric skills, and finally we have a spiritual connection. So this is how I do the evaluation, considering all of these points. So if a dog, even he is acting up and he's misbehaving, it doesn't mean that he's bad. It could be that there's a communication problem. It could be that he's just not healthy. It could be that the environment he's into is not a matching environment. So I will not start correcting the dog if I'm not sure what exactly the reason is. So first I have to search the reason for, and it's not because he doesn't follow instructions. The reason may be that he doesn't like to follow instructions because the instructions are wrong, according to his picture. So then we have to make sense out of it and then start working.
Wow, that's great. That's really great.
So do you need to go into the dog's environment to really assess them properly?
Yeah.
You have to see
I have
what's
to
going
get there
on?
because as we humans, we sit in our job. We are not exactly the person we are. We are adapting ourselves into the job environment. So if the dog is in his home, he will be different and as he would be outside of his home.
Right.
Because there is where the energy is exposed to.
Right.
If there is anger in this family, the dog will be aggressive. If there's fear in this family, the dog will be defensive. So this affects the dog's behavior.
And it sounds also that certain breeds maybe have characteristics that lead them one way or the other.
Yes, especially guarding dogs are more sensitive on some parts. Some elder breeds, like the Molosser and Mastiff breeds that I generally work with, have more emotional connections with the humans because of the DNA experience of many thousands years. They kind of understand and feel humans better than even we humans each other.
What breed dog is this?
Molosser breeds are all the Mastiffs in general.
Mastiffs?
Molosser breeds are about 32 breeds, that subbreeds in this part. Molosser breeds are generally bigger dogs. We call them in general Mastiffs.
Mastiffs.
Yeah, but Mastiff is a special group.
Okay.
And that's your specialty, large dogs, or you work with all?
Large dogs.
Large dogs, okay.
Do you work with smaller ones too?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you work with all kinds?
But the big dogs, because they have, they don't do well in shelters. They don't do well if they don't have a human connection. They really get very sensitive. These are the first that I have to work with.
You know, it just sparked a thought.
Yeah.
I had shared before the show started that we adopted this little Min Pin, and he came from a shelter, and he and a sibling were given up at the same time. He was older, and so I think he was 4 and the other one was 2. But anyways, once we got him home, there were certain very cute things about him that we learned, and one of them was that he loves to sleep underneath a blanket. He will find a way to get under any kind of covering. And I thought, for the family that gave him up, wouldn't it have been nice if somehow they sent a note, you know, to the shelter? Because I'm thinking the month that he was there on the concrete floor, there was no little blanket for him to get under. It must have been so terrifying for him.
Yeah, really.
So I don't know how you set something like that up, but just a little note.
I
One of
know.
my favorite things. You
I
know,
think it's because people don't give animals enough credit. They don't feel like
that they really have feelings.
Yeah,
and-
right.
Yeah.
Right. They don't feel like they have feelings. They think we think we're above the animals, and we're not above the animals. You know.
We're considering that, especially I understand only dogs at this part. When dogs come in a family, they're not there just as a toy or just like a place filler. The dog is coming there for a purpose. A, to give us a lesson. B, to heal us. Or the other part, just to give us companion.
Exactly.
So we go for a shelter to pick up a dog. Well, you can pick up a dog with a breeder. But the moment you choose to take a dog in your house, other than the responsibility you have, he has a responsibility too. Because he's activated by you picking him up. The moment you activate this dog, he has already a spiritual interaction with you. And we don't know exactly his purpose. So his purpose comes according to your behavior. So if he needs to send you a message of, let's say, for example, dealing with your father's death and soon to come, then he will become maybe sick later and he will go into a long death that you have to deal with. So he offers himself as an animal for you to get the experience to progress. And so even if you see a dog barking and is upsetting you and you get angry, then maybe the message is control your anger. That's why I'm here.
See? Yeah, that's wonderful. Wonderful to
Very
know that.
deep.
Yeah.
Very deep way to look at an animal.
So especially if I'm being called for an owner that the dog is misbehaving, the first question is towards the dog, what's going on here? And it is, don't look at me, look at him.
The dog said to you.
It's just like that with children, right?
Yeah, they're very similar.
Children are
I would
off, the
say
parents off.
an adult dog is similar to a 16-year-old child. So that's the limit. Because then the children have the personality, they create personality. The dog doesn't get this much personality anymore. He just stops there. Because they don't have the spirit working on them. They have only the soul working on them. So they progress into the soul experience, and we progress in a spiritual experience. So they feed from us.
Interesting.
I always said dogs are put here to teach us and to learn.
Yeah, we would start
Learn
barking,
what they have
right?
to learn too. What?
We have to start barking.
Yeah, right? So you feel a spiritual connection too with
Yes.
it? You do, huh?
Not with all dogs, but if the dog is for me to work with him and his owners, then yes. Most likely I'm always called by weird situations. I'm not called like normal dogs.
Oh, okay, right. You're for certain things.
Yeah, it just works its way.
So more of an extreme behavior of some sort?
I don't want to get to the crass, but if I've been called by an owner who's desperate, then I know something is going on there. Because otherwise he would call a normal trainer.
Right.
But most of them had already trainers working on them, and it just didn't have any progress.
Right.
Because they didn't solve the problem, they just solved the behavior.
Right.
But the cause come up again. So if the owner comes angry from school and the dog reacts to that, he will still bark and he will still be upset.
Right.
Or you can be dominant and dominate him and force him in the crate or with a leash or with the e-collar. Well, that's not the point.
Oh, I hate that. I think of a neighbor of ours who has the collar.
Oh, the
With the
electric collar that gives them a shock.
Well, the electric collar as a fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the invisible fence. I say,
Well, it's okay.
Oh, it is? I don't know.
I would not see the dog running free in a yard.
Right.
That doesn't. What
Yeah,
is he doing alone there? And he's exposed. The animals can come in and he can get out.
Right.
A fence is for me, sure, one of decision. Put up a fence. I don't
Regular
like
fence?
A regular.
Yeah.
A regular 4-foot fence is enough for a dog to put in limitations, and you work with him. If as soon as the dog comes into the property, and you walk him his territory, then he's fine with it. If you just open the door and let him out, he will try to explore further away.
Right. Right. But I just don't think that them being shocked by running out is a good thing.
Well, they are not shocked.
What happened?
In real life, is if the training is doing proper, then the dog will have is being taught how to escape from the beep sound. So you approach the fence until he hears the beep, and then you guide him back again safe. So he goes, whenever I hear beep, I have to return on the way I came in.
Oh, it's a beep? I thought that it shocked them.
No, first the one is a beep, it's a warning.
Oh, it's a warning.
There's a long warning, and then sometimes the warnings escalates from a lower frequency to a higher frequency, and then he will get the shot. But it happens only if he violates the two sounds. So he's consistent in going in there on his own, then he gets a reward of misbehaving and this part crossing the line.
What do you think about that? Do you think that's okay to do that? or-
Well, I disagree, but some people cannot put up a fence, and some people,
Don't want to put up a fence.
and then, okay, well, before the dog runs in the street, maybe it's better to put an electrical fence.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather see the dog in the backyard with the fenced area, and especially human interaction and maybe a walk. You just leaving the dog outside in the yard alone.
I can't stand people
Yeah.
who buy dogs and then tie them outside and they live outside in the doghouse instead of living in with the family. I think that's horrendous. Do you think? Terrible.
Well, there are some dogs out there, like huskies, that really like it's too hot in the house.
Well, they can be outside, but they should come in at night when they're...
They should have free access in and out.
Yeah, exactly.
In a shelter. It doesn't mean in the house. Like personal house, you can have a separate room or a separate area for the dogs, but not exposed outside, of course, no.
Yeah, that's harsh.
You mean keep them in a separate room?
Yeah, you can keep them separate. Some people do not like dogs in a private home. They can be in a separate room.
Well, why have them then? I don't understand that.
Well,
Why?
it could be a protection dog, could be a guard dog.
Oh. I'm sorry. I just don't agree with that. I think a dog should be a part of a family and feel the loving and sit on the couch and watch television and play with the kids.
Well, yeah, I agree, but still, so there are working dogs out there. Just hanging out on the couch is not the job. His job is to take care of business.
Yeah, well, they do that too.
Right.
Yeah.
So he could have free access to get in and out. And in the nighttime, instead of him being on the bed, he could be like in a separate room, like in a hallway. He doesn't need to sleep in the bedroom. I would rather don't see a dog on a bed. For two main reasons. A, from the emotional discharge a human has when he sleeps, from his sleeping energy. That release, especially energy healers, know what's going on when somebody sleeps, and why should the dog be exposed to that? Better being outside from this area. And then you have a sleeping disorder because every time you turn around, you have his leg or his tail on his face. Doesn't think it's good to have a rest overnight.
If it's a big dog, yeah.
Yeah.
Little ones, it's easier, yeah.
So I'm just really curious how you were able to apply all of this spirituality, intuition, energy work. How did you apply it to dogs?
Well, it's like everything happens at the same time. How do we interact with each other as humans? You see a person visually, and then you sense the person in your aura, and then you start talking with him, and then you get the vibration. So while you're talking, you have this interaction that's actually not visible. The same thing if you interact with a dog, you have this interaction. The first fun thing is he will look at you, and then he needs an answer. He says, "I'm the dog, I'm standing here, who are you?" Well, the answer, "Hi, cutie," is not correct. You have to be your own, yourself. So many people cannot be themselves. They're kind of hiding their stress by being cute. So when I'm interacting with a dog, the first thing I do is I'm answering his questions. Yeah, I'm a human and I need my time. He said, "Okay, I'll wait, but don't force me because, I don't like this way. And I'm not forceful, I'm just have my right to defend myself and defend my time." That's what he needs. He needs time to figure me out, and I have time to figure him out. And then as soon as I feel ready, then I can invite him with a proper way for me to approach. And I will not touch him until I get his feedback. Okay, I'm ready to be touched. And it could take like a minute or two. And I have many times people ask me, well, I never see my dog behave like that. Well, because nobody paid respect on his time.
Wow.
Which time is factor number one on a dog. Give him time to figure out what's going on. You are an invader coming in his house. Who are you? Well, I'm a friend. I don't know this word. Who is a friend? I see you excited. I see you angry. I feel you being not proper behaving towards my family. What do you want? Answer, nothing. I'm just sitting here. So you have this kind of interaction. Some people come in, open the door, "Hi, cutie," and reach over to the dog. There is no time. For him, it could be defensive. "Why are you reaching out at me?
Right.
What do you want from my family?"
Right.
But we have to see it from a dog's point of view, not from a human. "Well, I'm a friend." He doesn't tell him anything.
Right.
What is a friend? What's your purpose here?
Interesting. So a lot of your work is re-educating the owners, I would think.
Yes.
To be.
I've many here. Like last training session, I had a woman crying because she couldn't believe that her dog will change his behavior. But from her point of view, it was normal to come stressed from school, angry with the children. She's working there, misbehaving and coming home, and then have her own personal stuff going on, and the dog deals with a person who's angry coming in the house. Well, from the dog's point of view, he's dealing with situations that are visible. He cannot be interacting himself with something that's not visible. So you're coming home angry, the question is, to whom? And he sees nobody. Well, he waits until he sees somebody. Now, next time door rings, somebody comes in. Well, he's the one. That's why my mother is angry. Does it make sense?
Yes.
And all of a sudden you have a dog interacting with a person, misbehaving, jumping, and finally found the reason of her mother being angry, because otherwise she wouldn't be angry. How can you explain the dog, we have a bank issue? What is the bank? It's not here. So why are you afraid of?
Right.
Why are you scared? Well, I'm scared because my bills. What is a bill?
Right.
So all the stress the dog is exposed to makes him misbehaving. Well, you can block it off. Energy-wise, you can stop it and disconnect the dog from this human emotional stress and just leave him being a dog by taking over this responsibility. You cannot be angry at something that's not here anyway. You don't pay your bills, well, pay them or don't deal with it until you can do it. So on my side, I help also the owners who have a dog kind of control these emotional discharges and just control how they behave in the house, just because it's not the dog's fault.
Wow. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, it is. Really is.
Very deep.
What do you think a dog is thinking when, like, say, the husband and wife are arguing or something, or they're yelling at the kids?
Well, he sees a defender and an aggressor, so he will take sides. He will take, of course, side. The first thing, the dogs, they don't want fights. They don't want this emotional discharge of, this super excitement. And the first thing, he wants to break it off. The first thing the dog will do will go in between the person, try to break them apart, just by going into this energy field and block them. Most of the times, if we get too close, then dog starts barking. Bark at the aggressor, not at the defender. But it could be also the defender, go away from the situation, let me deal with it. And if nothing stops, then he may get manual, maybe he will snap at somebody, maybe we'll get close and bark at your face, just stop it. And if it still doesn't work, then he may bite. But there are a lot of warnings there.
Right.
And people don't see the warnings and then say, well, all of a sudden he attacked me. Well, there are 5 signals before that.
Right. You just didn't pick up on
exactly.
From licking, from head avoidance, from standing, from walking away, these are all messages we don't know.
I know people who will remember these people who had the dog, and they says whenever if the husband pretends he's hitting the wife, the dog will bark and try to protect him, and they think it's funny to do that, so they play that out.
Yeah, I had this case. Like a week ago.
Really?
Where the dog was abusive situation. He came most likely from a difficult family, and he was adopted by a family, and they come home full excited and hug themselves. Well, the dog bit twice. And the question was why? Well, because this kind of manual interaction, people going together face to face, for him was always an aggression. So he doesn't want them to go face to face.
He didn't know what hugging meant.
Correct. So we had to train him that hugging is okay. People facing each other is okay. It's not always aggression. It could be kind of calming.
Wow.
So this coming from home, hi mommy, I'm back from school. Take it slow. Come home, take off your clothes, take off your bags and relax first, and then go slowly and let him understand that your intention and your excitement coming home finally is not an aggression, it's just an excitement.
Right.
So dogs don't see all excitement only as aggression, could be something else, could be happy.
Right. Wow, that's fascinating.
So controlling this excitement is it's a big help for the dog to get a better picture of the situation.
Yeah, I just want.
Go ahead. I know we all have so many questions. Go ahead.
But one thing I noticed with my dog is when we take him out, he likes to travel, and he always wants to be with the oldest female in the room. He doesn't have to know the oldest female, but he figures out who the oldest female is, and he goes and sits in her lap.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's a smart dog.
For what? For guessing the age?
He's figured out the highest number. I just think it's nurturing, it's protecting, but it's a pattern that I've seen with him.
If you see it from a dog's point of view, it could be, I would rather protect the wise guys.
Oh, there you go.
So if a person who is older and is more comfortable in the environment she's into, and she's kind of the respected person, he would protect the respected person. That makes sense.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. Yeah. Fascinating. Wow. These animals are fascinating.
You said that recent studies in Europe are confirming what Reiki practitioners and systemic constellation guides already work with and know. Dogs with dogs and dogs with humans are emotionally and spiritually connected. These bonds are very strong and they reach over distance. Tell us about that.
Well, the researchers prove there's an institute in Hungary that deals with the emotional connections with dogs and animals. And in our work, especially Reiki healers who work with energies and get kind of in the energy field, they see that something going on. And if we do a Reiki, we do a disconnect, and we basically unplug the energies that we are tapped to. Dogs are attached to us too. So if we are attached with the dogs have to be attached with us. There's a string here connecting with each other. So for example, we lose a dog, we have this string connected. The new dog comes in, and there is something from the dog's point of view that's here, but it's not. So this string that's connected to nowhere, to a dead dog, he can see that, and he tries to fit this, and he cannot. That would create stress. We see in a dog the old body, but he's not here anymore, he's gone. So you don't leave room to your new body to take over his place. He's different.
Right.
Body's dead, he's gone. Well, he has a new guy coming in. And we have to let go. So this is one emotional part, letting go. Then in a face-to-face interaction, the dog can sense if you are sick. Not because you're coughing, or not because you have fever, because your aura has a problem. He can feel your aura, not really as a picture, but he can see the structure. He can see, depending on what is his brain structure, if you are off balance in this energy field, and he will be curious. Why are you weird? Why you look weird? Well, I look like normal. Well, you look normal, but your energy field is weird. So he will kind of start questioning what's going on with this person. Some dogs do bark. You see a person coming in and he starts barking like crazy. Well, he never barked before, but he almost attacked this person. Why? Because this picture doesn't match. It doesn't make any sense to him.
Can you elaborate on the systemic constellation guys?
Well, systemic constellation was in the New World introduced by Dr. Herbiger. He's an Austrian. He's basically was a priest who went to Africa to study topic religions and be kind of a priest there. And he recognized that they have different rituals where they kind of bring energies in and they're representing them in a group. So they create a group where one person is represented and energies is coming in and work through the person who is representing this energy. And it's most emotional sensation, so you can kind of put in a place mother, father, and let them interact spiritually with each other and find conclusions. And these energies are dealing at this point. So he did a bigger research. He kind of tapped into the dogs for a little bit, but he focused on humans. I did one systemic session on my part, and I recognize this as a tool that I can use for the dogs in order to see a systemic in the family. So I worked with a little bit in that and recognized the dog basically represents the average emotional of the family. So you have an aggressive dog. Somewhere in this family there is an aggression there, and he's reflecting it because he needs to be in tune with his team. They are team animals. I don't like the word pack. I disagree with the pack mentality. There is no pack mentality, because if there is a pack, then you have a leader, a dominant leader. It's not the case. So you have a team structure, and this dog represents the average team. So picking the dog's energy and disconnecting him as an animal and release him from these human energies, then he will become a clear dog, like as he is as a personality. Like if you remove a team player from his team and put in another team, he has his character and his personality. He plays different in one team, he will play different in another team, according to the team mentality.
Right, right.
So putting a dog in a family, he will get in tune, energy-wise and emotional-wise, with his group. So if he's acting out and you see which side the dog is taking, he will be attached to one person. Well, I'm targeting this person then. And I want to see why is this dog so attached to him and what is he representing. And if you do like 3 or 4 questions, then you get the big picture.
It's true. They
Going
do
back
detach one
to
one.
the example of the lady coming back from school, I saw the dog was very excited and, you know, high excited. He wouldn't calm down. So my question, I had the feeling that he was angry. And says, why are you angry? I'm not angry. Well, there's an anger. So what's your job? What do you do? He says, I'm in school. Okay, and you dealing with elder or younger kids? With younger kids, and you see her already getting angry.
Yeah.
And I says, well, how do you feel now? Well, yeah. And so, can you call it anger? Yeah, I'm upset. So she's kind of didn't want to be angry because she's supposed not to be angry, but she was
That
angry.
emotion was there.
Well, yeah, I'm angry because I'm coming home and my kid's doing this and the kid's doing that, and the dog has got all this time in the anger zone. So how can this dog be calm if you are angry?
Right.
Why are you angry? Maybe I should be angry too, right? So we are a nice team here. So controlling the anger and leave the anger where it should be, like away from your house, and keep your house clean.
Right.
This is where the dog has to be.
So the idea of, like this might be old school, but an alpha male type of personality has to dominate
I
the dog?
completely disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that because you can be equivalent to dominant if you're respectful. Okay, you have a person who is dominant and you have a person who gains respect by his person. Which would you lead? Which would you like to be led with? From the person who's dominant or from the person you pay respect?
Right.
Respect.
Right? So the dog is the same thing. Why should he be dominated by somebody who is incorrect? If he's correct, you don't need to dominate
Doesn't need to
because
dominate,
you
yeah.
rule with your law. You respect his time, he respects your time. You respect his zone, he respects your zone. So it's fine. Why are you dominating him?
Right.
And I'm going directly to some TV shows that dominating dogs is kind of number one.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what they say they do. Yeah.
That's incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, put a person there and dominating him, invading in his house and let him sit by force. Well, he will not sit. Why should he sit? Who are you to tell me how to sit? Well, I'm your dominator. No, it doesn't work like that.
Right. And then I would think eventually you get backlash somehow.
Yeah, well,
from the animal.
it looks nice on the show, but then there's no feedback if something goes wrong. You will never hear that. And you fix the dog on one side, but he will escalate on the other.
Right. 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 So much like children.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah,
They're really
raising
similar.
Children.
What about someone who has adopted a dog who was abused in some way? Have you ever run into
Yes. The first thing that I get from people who adopt dogs, my dog was abused. I says, how do you know that? Well, he was scared, and every time I lift my hand, well, it doesn't tell me that he was abused. And dogs live in the present. They have the memory of the past for them just to be safe, but it really doesn't, it's not 100% where they're dealing with. So it's kind of in a fear memory. And if we divide the dog in 3 parts, which has the controlling part, which is the head, then we have the dare part, which is the chest, and then we have the fear part, which is from the solar plexus and backwards. The brain needs to figure out and balance these 2 guys out. If the dare says, I want to get through this door, and fear says, no way, the brain will say, well, I'm curious. I want to see what's behind there. If the back leg, which is on the fear part, doesn't let go, the dog will never make a step forward. So a fearful dog, you will see that the back legs are stretched while he tries to get forward. Well, this is a fearful dog at the base.
I am just so fascinated by this. It's really energy work.
What if a dog really was abused? I'm going to do some Reiki energy work on a dog who somebody bought and put in a cage and never took him out, and the dog outgrew the cage and they had to break his legs to get him out of the cage
Oh,
once he
come
was
on.
rescued. No, seriously.
Oh.
So I'm going to do some work with him. And I mean, something like that.
Well, I would, if you were my client at this point and you said, I have a dog with this kind of experience, I would say don't work with him yet until he gets comfortable with who you are. Because as soon as you tap into his energies, he will freak out.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you to get into me?
Mm-hmm.
So I would give him time and just be there comforting. Don't even go close. I mean, not closer than
I'm not.
not closer
no.
than 6 feet, which is kind of in the privacy zone, and just be there and let him. As soon as he starts smelling, and try to reach at you with smell, then you can do the next move. Just wait for him to give you a signal, and you will feel the signal. You will feel the moment he gives you a green light to work with him. Some dogs will not react well in the first Reiki session. They would kind of deny, they would get away with this stuff, I don't want this stuff. But he will have time to think about it later because you paid respect and walked away. He says, well, maybe I should try it again. Then you will have a dog coming to you and says, yeah, do it to me, come on, do it to me. Then you can work with him.
That's what I usually sit away from the dog on the floor where he can reach me and just talk. And animals talk in pictures. I send pictures and pictures and just stay there and wait. And I've had that happen where a dog was way on the other end of the room, and slowly he came and came and came until finally he come right on top of me, and he wanted it, you know. And I never go after him to say, okay, you got to sit here and get this healing. Never, no.
This is a very sensitive part.
Want to feel
Never
him out
try
first.
to teach him what's wrong with him. That's not the way you pay respect.
Oh, no.
Pay respect, you know, I'm here to help. We both figure out what's your problem. I would say he knows what his problem is. He doesn't know a way out of it. So just come in with your presence and let him feel comfortable. You know, we can deal with that. Whatever it is, we fix it. Well, okay. What do you feel like? Well, I feel you are stressed. What's wrong? Well, you have been there. You're doing this. So it's kind of, I think we're on the same page here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we are. But I'm wondering, have you ever dealt with abused animals?
Yes.
And how you handle it
Well, I
from
had
your
an
point of
abuse
view?
situation. I mean, not really abused, but it was an abusive situation from a sandy dog that came from after the storm. So his owner died, and he was in the basement for a very long time. So his abusive situation was the person came in, took his owner away, and he was trapped there. He couldn't help. I think it was like a month or two there. So he had a person coming in. This dog was attached to this person. This person had 2 sick people in his house who was taken care of. So this dog was kind of still trapped with this person who died. They had still a connection there. And I wasn't aware in the beginning. I was kind of saying, no, it will not, can happen. But we did some Reiki work on him, and it popped up. Well, there's something going on here. So I had to do a disconnect. And after that, you couldn't even reach him out. He was freaking out in the crate. You could only walk him in the crate. He would spin. He would throw his ball around. He said, "Don't come near me." He would afterwards. He would take his ball and go away from the other side and says, "You know what? I have to eat, but just away from you." Now we are to the point that he can sit. He gives you 5, and you put his plate in, and he can start eating. He's done. He doesn't get crazy anymore. So this human coming in his environment and taking things away, that his most valued parts, that was his aggression. You couldn't even go close to him.
Wow.
But outside he was fine. You want to walk with him outside, you could have people around him, he was fine. As soon as he was in private, he was another dog.
How long does it take you to figure them all out? It's the evaluation
I think
process.
usually not more than 2 hours. I get the big picture.
Oh, good.
1 to 2 hours. I've worked with people for 2 hours and didn't even touch the dog, and we were done. And the next day, basically people called me, well, I have a new dog.
Wow.
But these are really the exceptions. But in the difficult parts are around 28 days to a moon circle, I would say. If you can fix things in a moon circle, where the dog figures out that things have a process and have a law, then it's for him easier to deal with. But longer than 28 days, there's something going on, most on my side. So I did something wrong.
Do you sometimes take dogs to live with you? And
Well, in my previous setup, yes, I did. I had boarding situation. Now I'm kind of in a transition. I don't do boarding at this point,
okay.
but it's just like a few months. I did boarding, and my process was to integrate the dog, do a reset, completely reset, and give him a completely new picture, who he's dealing with and what the people look like and how they should interact with him, and then integrate him slowly in the house. Usually I was like 28 days to a month. That was my target. So getting friends.
How about animals, dogs who don't get along with some dogs, or they get along with other dogs? Is there,
Well,
what do you think that if they told you?
I divide dogs in 3 main categories. The one is a teaching dog, a healer, and a companion dog. If I see him as a teacher, they most likely are more reactive to dogs who are misbehaving. He will try to fix him and put him in place. So while you're excited, bark, bark, or even bite. If he's a healer, he will go next to him and try to calm him down. So the most troubled dogs are the dogs who want to teach us, or they want to teach the other dog to stop doing it. And the dog doesn't comply, and the owner doesn't fix his dog, so he has to deal with it. And that becomes a habit. Every time he sees a dog excited, he wants to go after him. Some dogs have from a DNA they are bred for to fight with dogs, so they are animal reactive. He will react to any animal except the animal who belongs to his team or his family. So you need to do an introduction to him and let him feel comfortable. This who is next to you is like a brother thing. Some dogs have like a small window of a week or 2 after you put them in a new house. You have 2 weeks of a window to introduce him to his, and then he closes. And whoever is out of that is not his family member. Then it's closed. Then he will be reactive. So you have the DNA, then you have his experience, and then you have his sensitivity of being a teacher and try to fix things.
Because some dogs get along right from the beginning. They're very good, and they have no problems or anything.
Yeah, here is a tricky part. Many people fail when they bring rescue dogs home. They're already experienced. I call them survivors. They survived the situation. And they think the dog will deal with it, with the new environment. Well, just give him more time. It's your responsibility to introduce your new member into your new family. Tell him what are these people around him, how are they related with you. Do you pay respect to them? Well, okay, he pays respect to his wife and his children, so I have to pay respect too. If you pay respect first to your dog, how you would expect the dog to pay respect to your family members? So this dynamics of how you interact with the dog and what do you show to your dog makes who he is in your family system. And then you see a dog who is good behaving with one person, misbehaving with the others. Well, nobody told him that he has to respect the others, because you as a person don't show him that you pay respect. So if we go back, to the Cosa Nostra and the Italian mafia, that you can see the big picture of you coming in the bar and you pay respect to the boss, even if you don't like him, but you have to pay respect to him. If you don't pay respect, you're gone. So from a dog's point of view, it's kind of the same dimension. You go in your room, pay respect first to the people you have to pay respect, and then go down the line. It doesn't make you dominant. It just shows you how do you have your respect ranking. And this is the ranking he will adopt. So even if you have a dog, you have to pay respect to both dogs. First the elder one and then the younger one, because then the younger one will adopt from the elder one. If you pay respect to the younger one, the older one says, well, he doesn't know things, why do you pay respect to him? Well, because he's a baby. Well, he has to learn, so let me deal with it, and I fix it. And he goes after the puppy.
Again, so much like children.
Yeah.
When a baby's introduced into a house.
Are the owners present when you do the evaluation of the dog?
Yes, I need them. I need them there.
You need them there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I tap into the whole family system and I see how the dog is reacting to every person and how the person reacts to certain questions. And then you can see even from the dog, for a certain person, he changed behavior or he changed position just because I activated something on the person through the question.
This systematic constellation in behavior modification, you use that, right?
Yeah.
Were you clear about what systemic constellation is? I'm not.
Not
Okay,
completely.
now-
No, me neither.
We have a family system. It is with a father and a mother and the children. This is a whole system. Then you have a system that's the dog. So you have the animal system, the human system, and then you have a platform that interacting with each other, which is your house. So the family system, with his emotional and spiritual, activities and his personal activities, they influence the dog's energies. The dog, with his temperament and his experience, is influencing the human system. So these two systems are they have a touching point. This touching point is their interaction with each other. So if the dog barks, the family gets upset. So with his barking, he's influencing the other system. Now the systemic evaluation means how does one system influence the other? And where are the friction points? So at this point I have to make a line that says, family system, keep your stuff on your own, and dog system, keep your stuff on your own. And deal with what is appropriate between animals and humans. The dog doesn't need to be worried about your banking system, and you don't need to be worried where his bone is digged. So make a line. And all of a sudden you have a calm dog and more time humans, because they don't deal all the time with a mess. But if you see that the family has a problem in the system, like the father is not responsible towards his children and his wife, then the dog becomes dominant and try to protect the family members, except the husband. He doesn't pay respect to the person who should pay respect for.
Right.
Just because the owner or the husband at this point doesn't want to deal with the family stuff. All of a sudden you have a dominant dog that will bark at everybody and will challenge everybody at the door. Because from his energy field, he needs to cover this gap. Like in a team play, in a rugby or football, if you have a weak section, you have one person who will cover the section. So if the father is weak, the dog will tap into it and take over the situation. If the mother is weak, he will take over this and cover the kind of calming and nurturing part. If a kid has a problem, then he will try to protect the kid and cover him, because the kid is unbalanced. So he tries to fix the balance. He tries he wants to create the balance. So he's sucked into it. But there's energies the dog shouldn't deal with.
Yeah.
It's the whole human's responsibility to deal with the responsibilities, the human-wise, and not the dog's one.
So what kind of techniques or tips or strategies do you give the families?
Well, the family, the first point, as soon as I figure out what's the problem is, it's kind of delicate. I most of the times divert them to a specialist, like a family counselor, or if the person is very open-minded, then I send him to a human systemic constellation where he can deal with kind of a fear or anger or whatever deals with. He can, sometimes I work also together with psychologists who are working with a person already, like a therapist, and then I tell him the experience I had with the dog, and he influenced this part on his therapy. So we have kind of interaction here. If the child's part has a problem, then I will advise the people, the parents, to deal with a therapist in school, and deal with some situation like bullying or fear or anger that comes with the kid.
And how do the people react to this? You telling them to do these things?
Well, as soon as you call a holistic trainer, you have kind of a different idea. You just don't call a trainer. You expect a little bit more than just sit and stay.
Right.
Through the questions, I can see how they react, and then I can go further. At some point, you will see where they stop reacting, and then you have to stop there and just give them alternative. Like, maybe your child is kind of difficult in school. Maybe you want to check this part and see if he's... And then most of the times they ask, is everything okay in school? And then you see the kid swallowing. He says, well, yeah, I have this new guy in class who was kind of...
So you make it like a suggestion for them.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, I cannot. I'm not a professional at this part. I'm dealing with dogs.
No, I know. But I mean, you suggest to them that
Yes,
they...
correct,
that's a good
correct.
way, yeah. Yeah, that's a good way
Sometimes I see the dog has a problem. I will divert him to a Reiki professional who does Reiki, and he can do some energy work on the dog. I had a dog who needs acupuncture. We did acupuncture with him. So he had to go to a specialist on that.
Yeah, we had someone on the show who did that, a doctor, veterinarian who did acupuncture.
Good.
Very good, yeah. Very, very good. Do you think some dogs have a special purpose, like to help an owner evolve in life and so forth?
Yes, I do. Because seeing all the situation in the families, you can see that the dog has a calming effect, has a teaching effect. And I've never been there, but you have the look feedback after you're done with the job, that you have this, okay, you help them feedback. This is part, it's an experience, you can't really explain this, but you can feel the situation in a home where you see the dog is a healer. He's healing the family. You remove the dog from there, and I had example like a month ago. I removed the dog from the family system. I knew exactly what the dog was dealing with, and all of a sudden you have the kid got banned from the bus, the mother got angry, the other kid got allergies, and the father went to the hospital.
Wow.
And I was thinking, really? That doesn't happen really, right? So I put the dog back in, and everything was calm. I said, I will do it again. I will pull him out again. I didn't tell him anybody. I was just testing this part. Because I was sure that something was going on in the family big, because the dog wouldn't calm down. He was panicking like crazy. So as soon as I'm getting away from there, he was fine. I put him in the family, he was weird. It didn't make any sense. Then we had the private, we have more privacy with the people, and then I started asking questions. Yeah, well, my child had this, and my other child has that, and I have this, and my husband has that. Whoa, guys, the dog is dealing with a lot of stuff. He cannot deal without anything.
Right.
And then since you got another child into the family, then he was overwhelmed, and then he shuts down. So he was busy taking care of everybody's energies.
Wow.
And then the fifth member was like, I'm done with it. I don't want it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, that was really impressive. I was surprised. I was thinking about, easy things, and as you progress in your work, you kind of going into new zones, but this one like a mind blower. Wow, so much energy on one dog.
Really? We've got about 4 minutes left. Was that fast, right? I wanted to ask one quick question. A lot of people will have one dog, and then they'll say, I think he's lonely. He's lonely. I need to get another dog for him. What do you think about that? You think that's a true statement?
The first question, I would search the owner. How does he feel about loneliness?
That's what I was
So I
thinking.
would say, well, is he projecting to the dog what his feelings are?
That's what I said to
Isn't that
Right?
funny?
And the other question would be, yes, maybe, but what happens if you add another friend or brother into the system? How will the dog react? So you need to do a matching. You cannot just put them two together because you like them. So the dog that's longer there has some rights, and then you add another dog and you pay all this attention to the new dog, and all of a sudden you have a mess, and you have one dog attacking the other because he came too close to you. Well, you made the mess.
Right.
And especially if you put the third dog in, because I believe that one person has the emotional influence to control two dogs. So he has this kind of a respect situation. If you put the third dog, the system is away from the human balance. It goes into the animal balance. So these three dogs will team each other against the humans. So you have to be kind of very correct, up to the point to be like a judge, to keep the control over the three dogs. Most of people are like happy or glad to have normal dogs, but most of them have to remove one dog again. If you have fourth dog and fifth dog, then the things gets worse, because then you have to create a balance between the humans and the team from the dog side.
Wow. Well, we've got about 2 minutes left. Is there anything you want to ask a question,
No,
or is there
I'm just
anything
very
that you'd like to
fascinating.
tell tell the viewers before we close? Anything comes to
Well,
mind?
First of all, I would, as an owner, I would suggest take your time, sit down with your dog and ask him a question. Who is he? And the first idea that you get in your mind, that's his answer. And people just, no way. Well, what came in your mind? How do you expect him to answer? By text message or by email? Well, he communicates at some part. This response you will get from him, it's an emotional message. Get this message. And then just respect him. Just putting a leash on does make you a controlling person. Be balanced so your dog can be balanced. If you're off balance, your dog will be off balance.
Right.
If you're unhealthy, your dog will be unhealthy. If you're angry, your dog will be angry. So he's the first thing your dog will do, he wants you to be happy and balanced. Because if you're happy, he can sense that. And then he's calm.
That's what I say. He just wants to be loved. Wants to give love and be loved.
Yeah, well, I would say love, a human love is poisonous to a dog. Too much love can really hurt him. Because the way we love is different. A dog loves a tree and he will pee on it.
A dog loves what?
A dog loves a tree. He loves the whole nature, but he will pee on the tree, right? So on our side, if we love a dog,
Okay.
he cannot get the love we want. If we are more respectful and give like the general meaning of love, like the spiritual love to the dog, then it makes sense to him. I love you to death, it doesn't make any sense to him. It's overwhelming. Why are you pushing me? Why you invade my space? Well, I want you to be next to me. You don't respect my time. I want to hang over there. No, sit here. I love you. Okay. So the love thing is kind of needs a little bit a separate discussion on that.
Well, that's a great.
That's another show.
Yeah. Okay. We will have you back again. Oh, definitely. We have to close now, unfortunately, but we're going to give your information to contact Roman Gottfried. It's www.roman.
Canine.
Oh,
Training.
Romans Canine. I got it. RomansCanineTraining.com. And his phone number is 203-654-0350.
To learn more information about this show or any of our past shows, please contact us at heeloutside-the-box@yahoo.com. To reach Rosemary Lachance, her number is 203-627-7966. Her website is www.rosemarylachance.com. To reach me, my phone number is 203-804-0024, and my website is www.theonejoy.com. We are also on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box.
Okay, and the quote for tonight is, "Love the animals. God gave them the rudiments of thought and an untroubled joy. Do not trouble it. Do not torment them. Do not take their joy from them. Do not go against God's purpose. Man, do not exalt yourself above the animals, for they are sinless." And that's from, how do you say it, Dostoevsky? The Brothers Karamazov.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right,
Good.
folks. That's it for tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you.
night.
Good night.
Feel your thirst beside
I say that.
the river. Wash the journey from your hands. Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.